Thanks for watching my previous videos. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Worksheet tab. In previous videos, I talked about the databases, warehouses, and the accounts. The Worksheet tab is most important tab out of our Snowflake console, because most of the time we spend here and do the development. So for the data engineers and the developers, this is the most important UI component. So I'm going to walk you through all the features, even some of the hidden features that very few of us know in this, and hope it will help you in your data engineering Snowflake journey. So very first, so in this Worksheet tab, when you click on the worksheet, you get into this tab, and by default you have your new worksheet open, right? So here in this UI, there are majorly 4 panels. Okay, so I will take you through all these 4 panels and then some of the tips and tricks. In the first panel that you see on the top, right, this one is basically just the panel above the query panel, and here this is your context panel. So this context panel is where you set the role, warehouse, and database schema. To run any query, we would need to select the role. Role is a bare minimum thing that we need to have for running any query. Okay, then if we are running a query which has something to do with the database schema or its objects, then we'll have to select the database schema, and then we can just use the name of the object in the query which we want to work on. If we are running a query which has something to do with the data in terms of read and write, we will need a warehouse. Without warehouse, we cannot run the query. So all of these things I will be explaining with the help of some example just in coming times. So this is very important, right? Now the role which you see here, public is the current role of my current worksheet. So this is my worksheet, which is new worksheet. The name of the worksheet is new worksheet. I can rename this to a demo worksheet, and anything that you do in this worksheet, current worksheet, is automatically saved. So next time when you log into your system, you can just go to this particular button and click on open worksheets, and here you get the list of the worksheets. Okay, you can click on this. So this pen icon which you see here is something that reflects that this worksheet is currently open in your system, and those which is not having the pen icon, it is closed worksheets, and you can just select and click on open. All right. In the worksheet tab now, you see that I have the public role, so I will not be able to do much with the databases. And on the left hand side, you see this is the navigation panel. I will walk you through this navigation panel also in detail, but what you can see in the navigation panel depends on your current role. Okay, sometimes we get confused that here my role is account admin, but then also I'm not able to see the databases, I'm not able to run the queries. Yes, the above right hand side top corner account admin role has nothing to do with your worksheet role, because worksheet is one independent session to Snowflake server, and in worksheet, whatever is your current role, that gives you the privilege of doing something in the account. So here if I run a query saying that select current underscore role, so this will give you the current role, and the current role is public. That's where I will be able to access only the objects exposed to the public. Okay, and there is a command, simple command of switching the role or switching any context parameters, which is use. Okay, so you see use and use role. Let's say I want to switch it to sysadmin. So the moment I run this query, I see that the role is getting switched to sysadmin, and whichever is the default warehouse, default database, default schema of the current role, that will be selected in the context automatically. But if you want to select any specific objects in this, I will just click on this, and I can go ahead and select, let's say, demo warehouse, and then database, let's say demo DB, and schema public. So now if I run a query saying that, create table ABC, so in which database and schema this will be created? This will be created in demo database in public schema. Okay, but if I say that, okay, create schema demo schema, so then demo schema will be created, and demo schema becomes my current schema. And then when I run this query will create the table in demo schema. Okay, and on the left hand side we have the navigation panel. This navigation panel will give you the list of databases. Then when you click on it, it will expand to give you the list of schemas, and then it will give you the list of tables and views. Other than table and view, this old UI is not having any other object listed. So sometimes you will not be able to see the updated information here. So you just need to click on this refresh option, and then you will be able to see the updated objects. So here you see the demo, and demo schema does not have anything. The moment I click on create this, right? So here you see that one table will be created here, ABC, and when you click on this table, at the bottom it will give you the information about the table. So this has table name, how many rows it has, what is the total size of the table, then does this table clustered, how many columns this particular table has, and what is the data type and the size precision of the columns, right? You can also click on preview data, and it will give you the sample data, not all data, some sample data to preview what data it has. All right, in the details it will give you the definition of the table. Okay, but unfortunately in the old UI we don't have anything like get DDL or get the definition of this object, which we have in new UI, and there is a separate video that I will be coming up with top 10 features that we get added to the new UI of Snowflake. Okay, this way, if you see here, we have this sample Snowflake database which has the list of schemas. When you go to SF1, this will have customer data, and it has two types of table, customer and JCustomer. So customer, if you see, it will have the normal structured columns. It has around 1.5 million of rows, and then 10 MB, around 10.3 MB of data. And when you go for JCustomer, this will have JSON customer data. So same customer data but in the JSON format. So here you just have one column which has the variant data type, and in this variant data type you have the same JSON formatted data. So when you click on preview data, it gives you the JSON data. Okay, so same customer data but in JSON format, semi-structured format, and we can use this to practice or unload semi-structured data, which I will be doing it in next videos. Okay. Now you may look at other schemas also, and you will not be able to see the difference very easily because all the tables and objects will be same in other schemas also. But the main difference in SF10, SF100, SF1000 is that the table size is large. So here if you look at the customer, it has 103 MB of data. And when you go to the next schema, which is SF100, you will see that the customer data is more bulky, around 1 GB. And the line item is the bulkiest table here. It has 16 GB of data. And when you go to this one, which has SF10000. Here the line item is having data, very huge data, which you can use for some POC purpose. So 1.7 TB of sample data is there in the line item. Okay, and same data you will able to find it in the JSON format in J line item. Okay, so same amount of data but in the variant table form. So this is about the sample database which we have, and we can very well use it for our POC and other practice purpose. I have some very interesting use cases, and I'm basically building the video on that, so that would be coming in later series. Alright, so this was about your navigation tree, right? In the navigation tree, some of the interesting thing that we can do is, if you look at this customer table, right? Let's say that I want to query this customer table. I don't want to preview data, but I want to query, right? So to query this customer table, you need to set the context, like selecting this database and schema. So there is a shortcut. Just click on these three dots, and here we have an option of place name in SQL. So when you click on this place name in SQL, you see that this database name dot schema name dot table name is coming. You just add select star from, and then at the end you can add some limit so that it gives you limited records. Unnecessarily it is not scanning entire table. Another option that you have is that when you click on this schema, you again have three dots. Just click on this and say set as context. So when you say set as context, you would see that your table database and the schema is getting selected, and now you just can use the data table name and view name instead of using the incomplete identifier. So here if I run select star from customer limit 10, so this will also work. Why? Because now the session context is set to the correct database and schema. But without setting this context, if I run this query, it will fail. And in that case, I will have to use the complete object identifier. So most of the time when a user is new to Snowflake, they used to get a lot of unnecessary unnecessary errors in terms of object is not there, you don't have privilege, all of that. This happens just because of the correct context that needs to be there in the current session. So if let me take you to DemoDB, and here if I set the context here, this one, right, demodb.demo SSH, and when I run this customer, it will fail. So this type of error we get, like customer does not exist or not authorized. So whenever you get this kind of error, I believe you would be getting this error many times if you are a new Snowflake user. So whenever you get this kind of error, just check what is your current database and current schema from here context panel, and see that are you using the same correct object name here. If this object is not present in the database and schema, you need to switch the context. Or if you are having a query where you are referring to objects of two different schema or two different databases, please make sure that you are using the complete object identifier. That way it will never fail. If you run this query, you see through it, right? Next is right, in my worksheet, you see that wherever I am putting the cursor, it is selecting the entire SQL, right? So this is called code highlighter, and the code highlighter is something that we can turn on by selecting on this worksheet action tab, three dots, and you see an option of turn off code highlighter. By default, all the code highlighters are turned off, but when we enable it from here, you should be able to see the code highlighter. Okay, and this really helps us to run the query very easily. So there is a keyboard shortcut also. You just need to press Ctrl and enter. This will run the query. You don't have to bring the mouse every time on this button and run the query. Okay, so wherever you are working in, just make sure that you are properly closing the previous SQL by putting the semicolon, and then bring your cursor anywhere in the SQL query which you want to execute. Press Ctrl Enter, and then it will run the query. Okay, so this is another shortcut which we have. Next is there are some context functions, like likewise we are using current role, so you can also use let's say comma current database, then current schema, right, and then current warehouse. So when I run this query, you see sysadmin demo db demo ssh and the warehouse, which is same that you see here in the context panel, right? And you can run the query like use sysadmin to switch the role. Similarly, you can say use database, and then the name of the database, which is demo underscore db. So this way you are switching to the database, and then use schema, which is let's say demo underscore sh sch. So in this way you should so you should be able to switch to the schema, right? But there is another way of switching to the schema. You just need to say that use schema demo underscore db dot demo dot ssch. So this way, in just one query, you should be able to switch the database and schema both. Right? So just use schema this one, and you are able to select both database and schema in just one query. This use query you would be using more frequently when you are executing your query through some interface, because you will not get the UI interface to select it manually, right? So you will have to specify it as a script before you execute your actual SQL. Alright, let me walk you through the result panel, right? So here when I'm running this query, I get the result here, and you see we get the columns here, right? So you can, by default, all the columns that is the part of your query will be coming. But if you want to see any specific column only, like let's say I want to see nation key and CNAME, so this way I am getting the CNAME and nation key only. So you can select which all columns you want to see from the result panel. This is one. Second is, you see this download button. So when you click on download button, you can give the file name, and you can select whether you want to download this in the tab separated file or comma separated file. So in most of the cases we follow this CSV option. If the query is very small, right, the result of the query is very small, which you want to just copy and use somewhere, you can click on show in dialog and just copy it from here. So this way also you can copy the result of the query. So this is one option to use the query result. Also, if you click on this copy option, this will copy the result to a TSP format, and then it gets copied to the clipboard, and then you can use it to paste somewhere else in the system. There is an option of data preview. So data preview is basically this will give you the result of the query in so this one is not the result of the current query. This is the result of the previous query which was executed for the J customer table, right, which were just one column. And when you click on open history, so in this open history you get the list of all the queries executed in current session. Only in the current session, whichever query got executed, you will be able to see it here. And at a high level, the status, duration, start time, end time, and the query ID. So if you want to get into any query, right, query details that has been executed, so let's say you are running some query and the output is taking much time, or the output is not as expected. So you want to see through like how the query actually got executed behind the scene. So you just click on the query ID, it will take you to the query profile. and here in the query profile you can see the details of the query execution. So you can look into the performance improvement opportunity, or you can also find out where the query is taking more time. All of these details you can easily check here. So this way we are getting the details of the query and the profile also. Right now there is no plan for this query, the profile plan, so it's not showing anything. But in the query result, query history, we are able to see the details, we are able to see the SQL and also the result, right? So this query result will not be visible to any other user except the current user who executed the query. Even if account admin comes and see this query result, they will not be able to see it if the user is different. Okay, so this is the only component in Snowflake which is user specific. Other user cannot see this. Fine, so let's come back to the worksheet section, and I will now show you something about how do we manage the worksheets, right? So every worksheet that we create in Snowflake is a unique session. So if I run the query here, like select current underscore session, so you get some session ID from here, right? The session ID that we get here is ending with 621. So let me just put it here, 621. And if I run the same query in other worksheet, let's say I click on new worksheet, I give a name here, new demo, right, sheet. In this, if I run the same query, I will not get the same session because this is a new session, separate session. So let me run this query, press, and here we see that the session ID is ending with 741. So this confirms that every worksheet is a new session which will have a new session ID, and every session to Snowflake or to any database has some connection parameters like current database, current user, current schema, current warehouse. So it will vary. So here if I change the role of my current role to from sysadmin to account admin, I should be able to see some more databases like Snowflake database which you see. So this Snowflake database is by default exclusive to account admin only. So account admin only can see through this Snowflake database, and it has account uses and information schema, organization information. So this has basically all the information about the uses of the current account, and unless the account admin share this database or grant the privilege of accessing this database to any other role, even the system admin, it will not be accessible, right? So the moment we change the role for current role in my current worksheet, it has nothing to do with the previous worksheet. So the previous worksheet role is intact, right? There is no change in this worksheet. So all the query that you execute in this current worksheet is independent of what you are doing in the second worksheet. So these two are two different sessions, right? So this is one. And if let's say you want to close this worksheet, so when you close it, it will disappear from here. You go to this open the worksheet, and here you see that new demo sheet is closed. I can select and I can click on open. So now this particular worksheet is open, right? So this way we manage the worksheets in the query. This UI is the old UI, and Snowflake has been working since long for coming up with the more advanced UI, right? The new advanced UI is the Snowside UI, and I'm going to come up with a very detailed video on the Snowside. I will walk you through the Snowside interfaces, and I will also cover 10 most important features that has been added to the Snowflake UI in the next video. So see you there. Till then, happy learning. Thank you.